Hey, Cmax here. All right, welcome to video 2 of my new What To Reloading series. Uh, Here again, going to recap. This is just trying to uncover some maybe unknown areas in the reloading to help someone who is thinking about doing this. There's 10,000 reloading things out there, so I think kind of my niche may be just trying to get people started in it. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching all this stuff. I've had some success, couple people, a couple more people have got my sights on, so to speak. So trying to motivate them into it, and no rejections yet. So we'll see. But video 1, we talked about basic stuff, decapping, why you clean it. So we're going to go to the next stage now. I've got a die set here. This is a Lee die set. It is a 3-die set. They also make 4-die sets. The only difference being they have a factory crimp die. We'll get into that stuff later. Right now, we're really only concerned about is the resizing die. And this is the resizing die. Easy way to know that is, it looks like the Lee Universal. Let me get up here so you can see. But it looks like the Lee Universal die. Let's see, I'll zoom in on this, but as you can see right there. And very important note, you got to clean your dies. I'll put a link to my video on that right here. But that's what the resizing and decapping die. You do both steps with one die. Now I've got some 38 special brass here we're going to use for an example. As you can see, this one is already been decapped. We did I did this routine with the wet tumbler, and I had decapped them with the universal decapping die earlier. First of all, I want to talk about the die a little bit. There are several types of dies now that you're going to see. Basically, the way they started out with is they were all just steel, okay? So the purpose of this die is this case, the case is made of brass. Why brass? Because brass will expand and contract without fatiguing, okay? So it makes it an excellent choice for pistol and rifle cases because of that. You put it in the chamber, you fire it, boom, it fire forms to the inside of the chamber. So it expands, and the chamber stops its expansion. So obviously this is bigger than it was before it was shot, okay? So when you resize it, you shove it up in the resized die right here. As you can see, it does not want to go in. Does not want to go in at all because it's big now. So what we do is we shrink it back down. Now they have a standard, okay, because everything needs a standard as a benchmark or point of reference. They're called SAMMI, S-A-M-M-I, and I don't remember what it stands for. I'll probably put it scrolling across the screen here. But basically what the resizing die is supposed to do is reduce the case back down to SAMMI minimum chamber specifications, okay? So we force it in there and it shrinks it back down. Also, you can do the decapping at the same time. So if I had cleaned these with a dry tumbling method, I would not have knocked the primer out because I don't want the media to collect in here and me have to get it out and it gets stuck in the shell holder and all that kind of stuff. We talk about that later. Then it would be important at this step you're doing two functions. But since this is already primed, if I wanted to, I could unscrew this right here and take the middle shaft right out. But it doesn't matter. I'll just leave it in there, and all it's going to do is just, poke through the primer hole. So it's no big deal. Now, as I was saying a minute ago, all the original dies were steel, okay? Shoving it in there was a problem because it will get seized. So you have to lube them. Now, I'm going to put a link to the lubing stuff up here. Several different ways to do it, tons of different products, yada, yada, yada. Nowadays, they have, and this set is actually one of them, and let's see. You can see it right here. I'll bring it up. Carbide sizing die. So what does that mean? Well, you're going to see carbide dies, titanium, and a bunch of other things. And basically, what we're looking at right here is this ring right around here is a different type of metal. That's carbide steel instead of regular steel. It's much smoother, much harder, so you don't have to have the lubrication on this die. Okay? In other words, with carbide dies, you don't have to lube them to size them. The titanium one, same way. However, I believe, and there's no proof or what have you out there, but I lube mine. I do that for a couple of reasons. I like to be in the habit of lubing them anyway, so in case I pull out an old set, I'm already in the habit, already thinking about them being lubed, and I don't run the risk of going, oh, I forgot, and have a rifle round and shove it up in the die and get it seized. I am starting to see carbide rifle die sets as well, but right now predominantly the pistol is what the calibers that they're available in. But I still lube the cases. Why do I do that? Well, I think it is easier on the brass, and I believe it's easier on the die. The amount of resistance that it takes on the press to do it lubed with a carbide die is significantly less than without. So it only makes sense to me that's going to make my dies last longer, and it's going to be better on the brass, and it feels better doing it. And when you've got a way to have lube that is very inexpensive, it goes a long way, then there's really no reason not to do it. I'll tell you what, right now, why don't we go into the die and take a look at it. Okay, so you got a good look inside the die with the carbide ring. This is what it looks like with the decapping rod, decapping pin, they go by the same name, removed out of the die. So I could run this die in the press, since all these have already been decapped and went through the wet tumbler, this way. If the primers were still in there, I would want the rod. And it just goes in, and then this is basically like a collet, and it just tightens down on the rod. And you just want to set it right. Tighten it down. And that's it. Very simple. Now, like I had said before, so what we're doing is we're squeezing the case back down. So we're shoving this in there to squeeze it down. Like I had mentioned, when you put this in when you put any die in the press, the only real adjustment is how tall or down you want. And if you stop and you think about what are you trying to achieve, so in this case, we want the entire length of the case to be set back to SAMI standards. So we're going to want this case to be all the way up into it. So we're going to want this die body to touch the shell holder. So when this is in the ram and it comes up, we're going to want them to meet so that the case is all the way up in there. So this is not going to be very hard to set either, is it? All right, I'm going to cut away. We're going to go over to the press, and I'll show you what I'm talking about on that. Real quick, before I head over to the press, I wanted to also throw in here, if anyone has any questions, I'm trying to throw this together and cover unknowns. So if you have one, ask me a question. I'll either respond, if it's something extremely simple, straightforward, via text, or if it's something I need to show, I'll cut a video on it. So it's not a problem. Please don't hesitate to ask. First thing we want to do is we want to put the shell holder in. So what you do is raise the ram a little bit, pop it in. There again, you hear it click. Sometimes there's a set screw. On this one, there's this little spring retainer clip. And you can spin it so it faces either way. I usually have it face this side, operate with my right hand, left hand. Depends on how you have your bench set up. And that's something that you're going to want to think about once you get going. Where do you want your press, the routine you get in, left to right, and all that kind of good stuff. So we have the shell holder in. The next order of business, and this is called the ram. You're going to raise the ram, okay, to the very top. So the handle's all the way down, the ram's all the way at the top. And remember, we want the case to go completely up into the die because we're reforming the size of it, literally. So let's screw it down here till it touches. Boom. There. Well, let's see, is that it? Yeah. Just till it touches. Then you can just lock the ring down. Hand tight's good enough. Okay. So we've got the die all the way down to where it touches the shell holder. All right. I'm going to put this case in here. This is a non-lubricated case. So we're going to put it in. And you can feel the resistance. Now that one is sized. Now, the difference in lubing is night and day. It's so much easier, so much smoother. Start keeping your containers because you'll need, see this one's done, so I need to segregate it and put it somewhere else. And you can use plastic bins and empty ammo boxes, whatever the case may be. For this one, I'm just going to throw it in those for right now. So, now we've got another one in here, and I'm going to run it up in here. And I wish I could, there's no way I can show you, but it's just so much easier. Goes in there, it's so much smoother. So now those cases are back to SAMI minimum specifications. I mean, that is so easy. So no force at all. So that means, to me, the brass doesn't work as hard and the die doesn't work as hard. But officially, I don't have to use lube. That's as hard as it is to do the sizing. Pistol caliber reloading is very, very easy. Any questions? please don't hesitate to ask. But for resizing, that's it, guys. That's all. Nothing to it. It's fun. Feels good. And, you know, so you can load a lot of ammo on one of these. So, you know, but everybody's going to tell you, oh, you need a progressive, and you'll probably want to get one. If you get into the reloading, you'll probably want to get one, but you don't have to. And you always need a single stage press anyway, so it makes sense to start out with that, learn each step. Then when you got 5 of them, 6 of them going on, steps at one time, every time you pull the handle, you'll know what's going on. So that's my 2 cents. All right, thanks for watching. Once again, this is why, not really how to, even though there's some how to's thrown in there. But why to? Thanks for watching. We'll go to the next step on the next video.